Hello everyone, welcome back to English with Lena. Okay, so the topic we are going to discover today is about the test room of the TOEIC test. Alright, so let's start with the first part, a brief introduction really. I have completed the TOEIC test and achieved the perfect score 990 out of 990. So I want to share with you guys my test experience. And certainly, the test experience is unique to each and every one of us. So I would like to hear from you guys too. So in this video, I will mainly cover the paper-based test. There will be another video to compare the difference between the paper-based and the computer-based test. Okay? So first, about the listening part. Of course, you cannot write or underline anything on the test paper, alright? That needs to be very clear. You cannot leave any trace of pencil on the question booklet. Sorry, I mentioned the test paper, but of course, the answer sheet, you have to circle your answer. And once the listening test finishes, you will move straight to the reading test. So that means pretty much you have no time at all to double check your listening exercises at the end. Alright, pretty much no time at all. And in terms of the level of difficulties for this listening question, I find that the real test is more difficult than the test in ETS Book 2 2020. And part 3 and part 4 of the real test, those parts are much longer than the practice test in that ETS Book 2 2020. That means it would require you to have fast reading skills. Well, you're doing a listening test, but now you must have fast reading skills and you need to remember those information as well. And personally, I find this book be closer to the real test nowadays in terms of the length of the questions, and especially in part 3 and 4. All right. And another thing I did not mention at the beginning, again, is that I have done this test in Vietnam. So what I'm sharing here is pretty much how the test is gonna go in Vietnam. Another thing is some of my friends have done their test in Taiwan. What I'm talking about here some of the point would refer to the case in Taiwan. All right. So another thing is listening part 2. You know that there are many tricky questions, right? Many tricky questions. You hear them, but you're not sure, like, is it A, B, or actually C? And sometimes the question word does not match totally with the answer. So that I will cover in another video. Another thing to mention is that you must improve your level of concentration. You need to be totally focused on the test. When you do the practice test at home, try to actively avoid any random thoughts in your mind so you can do the same thing in the real test. Well, the test is in 45 minutes and it is non-stop. So you must focus only on what is in front of you. So another thing for you to pay attention to is that the invigilators, they move around the room very frequently. So on average, I would see them every 3 to 5 minutes. And sometimes they will be in front of you, sometimes they will be behind your back. And I don't know about you, but personally, I find it a little bit eerie when someone is behind me and I cannot turn around to look at them because of course I'm doing my test. So hopefully this is something that I let you know in advance and then you can be prepared for it. The second point is about the reading test. Again, the same as the listening test. You cannot underline or write on the question booklet. You cannot leave any trace of pencil mark in there. So what if you are confused between two options in the reading test? Like, how do you know that, okay, this question, let's say 109, you want to come back to it later? How do you let yourself know? When you cannot make any notes, there will be no draft whatsoever or anything that you can realistically make note on. So my suggestion is that you draw a line, maybe like this, and don't fill the circle until you double check, and then you see like, oh, all right, when you finish the test, if you're lucky, you have like 2 minutes or even 15 minutes to just check your answer. You can easily find this question 109 out of the others, like, oh, I haven't filled in it, I will double check it. The thing is, if you use this tip, be careful, because make sure that you circle the answer fully at the end of the test. Otherwise, if you forget to fill in that circle, your answer will not be qualified. Well, in terms of the level of difficulties, I find the level of difficulties between the actual test and the practice test, they vary a lot. Some of the actual tests can actually be as easy as the ETS Book 2, but some of them can be as difficult as the ETS Book 3, or even like the YBN Book 3, really, because nowadays, I don't know, the test paper just feel more and more difficult compared to 2-3 years ago. What I mean by that is the probability of getting a higher level test compared to an easy one. I feel like that chance is higher. There are 100 questions in this test, and you must complete them in 75 minutes. So the time pressure is real. Yeah, you have to practice timing each session at home and apply it to the real test. Well, the details about how to do this, again, I will share it with you guys in another video. Next one, how to register for the test. So in Vietnam, I registered at IIG office. Basically, you cannot go straight to the office and expect that you can be served, like you can pay for the test and then book your test date immediately. What happens is that you need to book a date online from IIG website to go there to see them, and then in that appointment you can pay for your test fee, and then you can choose your test date at that time. All right, so if you're in Vietnam and you want to register a test at IIG, I highly recommend don't just jump in there. You need an appointment first. So during COVID-19, the time when Vietnam was recovering from COVID-19, really, I booked the test, and basically it took me 2 weeks until the date I fill in the form online. So the form gonna look like this. Yeah, you have to register online for the appointment. And then, so basically it took 2 weeks between the date that I fill the form until I can actually see someone and pay money for the test. And then my test at that time, actually, it was 3 weeks away from my appointment. So altogether, from the time that I registered online until the time that I actually did my test, it took 5 weeks. And another thing is that you will wait for the results as well, which is going to be in the next section. About receiving your result. In Vietnam, you have 2 options. You can pick up in person your paper result, or you can wait for them to be delivered to your home address. Normally, you will wait on average 13 to 15 days until you can pick up the result. So you need to go on to their website first here, and then you see if your test date, the result for that test date is published, then you can go to the office and pick it up. Don't go there without checking on the website, otherwise you may waste your time. Okay, another thing is that now in Vietnam, you have the express option in which you will have the paper result within 7 working days. Okay, 7 working days. I don't know why. What am I doing with my fingers? So yeah, so that is much faster compared to the normal option that you have to wait 13 to 15 days. And by the way, if you do a computer-based test, you will get your results straight away on the screen. Well, that is the proposed result, and then after that you will have the paper result. like 13 to 15 days. So this is the last part. I'm going to tell you what's the environment like in the test room. The feel like temperature is around 22 to 24 degrees C, and you can bring your jacket with you. They will check it on your way in, and then after that they will they give it back to you. In Vietnam, with the paper-based test, there will be no digital timer, alright? So that means you have to look at the analog clock, the only one that is in the room, and you're not allowed to bring your watch in as well. So sometimes you're gonna sit in a certain angle, maybe too far away or too close, and then it's the light. It is very reflective when you see the clock. So basically, you cannot see any number in there. It happened to me once. So yeah, if that's the case, then just brave yourself and try to do as fast as you can so you can have some spare time to double check, especially the reading answer. There's really no other option. But normally, the majority of the seats, you can see the clock to a certain point. And if you are doing a computer-based test, on the other hand, actually, you are allowed to have a small digital timer on the computer monitor that you can see it and you can keep track of the time very easily. When you choose a computer-based test or a paper-based test, I think that you really need to start doing the reading exercise and timing it with the right tools. So if you're doing a paper-based test, you should use a watch to keep track of the time. If you do a computer-based test, then yes, use the digital timer, which is beautiful. Well, again, I'm curious about your TOEIC test experience too. Please share with me in the comment section below, alright? So I will leave a Google form down below for you guys to fill in if you want to receive some free practice test material to prepare for your TOEIC test. Wishing you guys all the best of luck, good health, and good luck on your exam.